a background in permaculture and also in Montessori education, and I put together this chart to help myself, but to sort of distill some of that wisdom that I gained from those two traditions, and hopefully to use that to share it with other individuals and organizations, because it draws on so much learning that I did for a period of about 10 years in permaculture principles, and a lot of that learning was very difficult and convoluted for me, and it took a lot of time to understand it. And the only way that I truly came to embody it was by taking it to a more personal level rather than keeping it in the abstract. I guess some of them are connected, but share the abundance is a very simple principle, but it really makes sense. If you plan to have enough to share, and you go into any project with the knowledge that you're going to be sharing, what a different perspective you have than the scarcity principle that there's never enough. There's always an abundance. So it does require looking for it sometimes. And that kind of connects with this idea that the harvest is unlimited. So as a Montessori teacher, one of the things we talked a lot about was planting seeds with young children. Children between the age of about 6 and 12 are so eager for information. They may not carry the details of the information, but you can plant seeds that they can return to as adults and get more in depth. So the idea that the harvest, I really love the concept of a harvest. Any kind of endeavor that we go into, if we think about what are we trying to harvest, what are we trying to share out of that. And again, in permaculture, when you harvest, you're never going to damage the structures that you have in place. Your goal isn't to rip up the soil and expose the minerals to the atmosphere and have them be released. You want to harvest in a way that is completely sustainable and that will allow a harvest for hundreds of years to come. And that comes from slowing down and observing. And I can't, that one is just so critical to me. We get so wrapped up in what we think is happening that we sometimes don't take the time to actually see the abundance that's right in front of us.
How about the order and chaos?
So, to me, well, in permaculture, they talk about monoculture as being what looks like order, but in fact it's absolute chaos. And any kind of pest that visits a monoculture farm will attest to the chaos side of that. And the same is very true in our lives. If we are so rigid that we can't allow some of that chaos where the creativity comes in, we're going to miss a huge opportunity. On the other hand, if we live in utter chaos, we tend towards the apathetic because we need structures and chaos, we need creativity and order. And I use the metaphor of the bees because it's very well known now that their dance is not chaos. They are very highly skilled communicators. And there's some real, I won't go into it, but there's such beauty in studying bees and their relationship to each other. Yeah.
Discipline and practice.
So discipline and practice, to me that touches on so many things. Meditation, parenting, gardening, running a business, all of it requires both discipline and practice. And muscle memory. In my work, I often draw things out ahead of time, or I practice my calligraphy ahead of time so that my muscles can pull that up really quickly. And we talked a lot about that in Montessori as well, allowing children to learn to write by training the muscle to to do it quickly and easily so that there's a flow, so they can quickly flow into more difficult things. A lot of meat in each of these principles that could really help people interact with each other. You know, if we really embrace cooperation, we cease to use the word competitor. You know, we have the choice. We don't have to compete with people. We can actually cooperate with them, and both of us can be enriched from that relationship. There doesn't have to be a winner-loser. There can be all winners. And you know, the solution is within the problem is another way of saying, if you're cognizant of a problem, then you already have part of the solution just by recognizing that problem. It's very profound for me on an individual level. When I have an issue with someone's behavior, that's often a reflection of something I see within myself. And on an organizational level, if you can frame the problem, you're already aware of the dynamics that are being created. So your solution is already there, and it may take some untangling, but you're partway there. This one, I think, is very useful. In permaculture, we talk about zones. Zone 1 being the physical body or the home, moving out to further zones, which would be your garden, then your orchard, then your wild space. So leaving wild space is wild. But on an organizational level, if you concentrate on your task and your own business, and you stay in your business rather than everyone else's, if you put the bulk of your energy into those things that are immediately around you, you're strengthened. Your energies are not going way out here and then back again. You can stay concentrated and ripple out rather than traversing huge distances.